Kel, there we go. We've gone 7 o'clock. So I want to just say good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the tech talk tonight, presented by Stuart, ZR6WT on JS8Call. This is the second time Stuart's doing this talk for us. He lasted probably a year, if not a bit longer ago. So it's time for us to brush up on JS8Call and remind us all the things we forgot, Stuart, and maybe show some of the people who've never done it before. It'd be interesting to see it live in action with the two radios you've got there. So yeah, thanks very much for taking the time and the effort for us this evening, Stuart. Over to you.
Okay, thanks, Matthew, and good evening to everybody. I'm ZR6 Whiskey Tango, Division 1 at the moment. I've relocated to George. I don't have any HF antennas up yet, so what I'm going to show you tonight will all be canned between two different radios on dummy loads when we get to the demo section. So let's get going. So this is going to be our agenda. What is JS8Call? How did it originate? How does it work? And then we'll get into actually hands-on, because the topic is getting, getting you on the air. So unlike my first talk, which was actually 2 years ago, I went into a lot of detail of all the messages and how it works. I'm going to just kind of give you a cursory view of that and jump straight into a hands-on sort of thing. Okay, so JS8Call takes the robustness and sensitivity of the FT8 protocol and layers on a messaging and network protocol for weak communication on HF. This is open source software and is designed for connecting amateur radio operators who are operating under weak signal conditions, and offers real-time keyboard-to-keyboard messaging, store and forward messaging, which means that you don't have to actually be in RF contact with the destination station, but only in contact with some other station that is in fact in contact with the destination station. I found that a very interesting feature, and there's a way to find out who's in contact with who, which I'll demonstrate to you as well. And then finally, APRS features. Now, this is an even more interesting one, because you can actually send an email, SMS, although the SMS feature doesn't work in South Africa, and the usual APRS GPS location messages via HF to someone who is connected to internet, and then they will relay it to the actual APRS network. So I can be in the bush and only have HF contact and send out APRS messages via HF. And this is, on 40 meters or whatever frequency you want to use. Oh, that was a very interesting feature, which I'll demonstrate tonight. So how did it come about? Well, FT8 was launched in June 2017, and everybody knows FT8. So George Shearer, KM4CRD, in 2018 noticed that there were, sorry, I'm just getting my notes here, that there are a few unused bits in the 15-second frame of the FT8 protocol. He thought, what can we use these for? He thought it could be used to send more stuff, and that is set one of the unused bits to 1 to indicate we have more stuff, and continue sending more frames with this bit on until no more data to send, and then send the last frame with the bit off, indicating that that is the last frame of the sequence. Now, Joe Taylor, K1JT, of course, was the guy who originated all this QRP stuff, FT8, etc. And he and Jordan approached him to say, well, why don't we, expand FT8 to include all of this? But he said, no, he wasn't interested in developing this protocol or this possible feature. And Jordan should run with it himself if he wants to. And as FT8 is open, Jordan could use the WSJTX source as a starting point, which is what he did. So JS8Call is a derivative of WSJ-X application, restructured and redesigned for message passing using a custom FSK modulation called JS8. It is not supported nor endorsed by WSJTX development group. While the JSJTX group maintains copyright over all the original work, the code JS8Call is a derivative work licensed under in accordance with the terms of the usual GPL Level 3 license. The source code modifications are public and can be found in the JS8Call branch of this repository, which is https://widefido/JS8Call. JS8Call will always be open source and free software. So, how does it work? Well, JS8Call uses JS8 modulated packet messages. JS8 uses compressed text data transmitted in back-to-back frames. It supports 4 frame speeds. For example, slow mode speeds of frames of 30 seconds long, of which 25.28 seconds is spent in TX mode, and this results in a bandwidth of 25 Hertz. Normal speed is of frames of 15 seconds long, of which 12.6 seconds are spent in TX mode. The protocol has a few seconds gap between each block or frame, and this results in a bandwidth of 50 Hertz. In fast mode, the frames are 10 seconds long and results in a bandwidth of 80 Hertz. And then you even have turbo mode, where the frames are 6 seconds long with a bandwidth of 160 Hertz. And to my knowledge, FT8 doesn't have this feature. So I just want to also say that although it is very time dependent, in other words, the frames have to sync and all that, JS8Call has another feature where it can look at a frame that it recognizes and sync to it. So its clock doesn't have to be that accurate. I mean, you should try and get it accurate, especially if you're originating the message. But it will receive things that are out of sync with itself because it can do the syncing. And I'll also show you there is actually a part where you can tell it to use this feature to actually update your clock. I haven't been too successful with that on a Raspberry Pi, but maybe I need to play a bit more. Right, so we're going to now get into hands-on. So we'll start with the typical hardware setup, then installing and configuring, and finally using JS8Call. So, of course, the typical hardware is the usual for digital mode. You need an HF transceiver with audio in and out ports, and preferably supporting cat control, because if you don't have cat control, then of course you have to manually switch frequencies and so on. Anyway, the more modern radios would of course have all of this in a single USB cable, and that's the all-in-one solution. That's the most elegant way. So you, of course, on the computer side, you need a PC or a laptop, or what I do is use a Raspberry Pi to run the JS8Call software. And you connect up the audio from the radio to the PC, laptop, or Pi, and of course, cat control, which is either USB or probably serial port. To get the software, which of course is free, you go to this URL, which you can see on the screen. It's http://files.js8call.com/latest.html. So I don't know if anybody's going to try this while we on air, or will you just observe and try it later? So here are actually the URLs for the various operating systems. So the one we will actually demonstrate setting up is the Windows version, which is that very first one. But you can see you can also install it on Linux machines. So you would install JS8Call using that image selected based on your iOS, and then you start up JS8Call, and you'll need to configure a few basic items. And if you've run JS8X software before, you'll be right at home here, and the configuration will look familiar. So we're going to press F2. I'm going to get my Windows version up. Let me just do that. All right, can you see my JS8Call on Windows? So as I said, you press F2. So I just want to get my notes here again. And as I said, the basic information, the minimum you need to configure is, of course, your call sign and a grid locator. Don't worry about these call groups yet. We'll get into that later. Then on the radio side, which of course is how you're going to control it, the simplest way, if you don't, well, okay, first of all, there are a lot of radios in here, as you can see, it knows about just natively. But if yours isn't there, for instance, on Windows, it doesn't know about the G90, but funny enough, on the Raspberry Pi version, it does know about a QDX, which, right, sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's actually mimicking another radio, so let's not say that. So anyway, I'm using FL Rig to do this, and you'll see in the background there it is. Again, I think people should be familiar with this setup. You install FL Rig and you would find your radio there. Like, for instance, I'm using a G90 and it's on COM port 8. And the other stuff is essentially standard. And you'd click on Init to make sure that it can talk to it cat-wise, which, as you can see, the green light's on. So there you would select the FL Rig. So it's talking via that. And all of these are defaults, cat, none. And you do a test there. So it's turned green. So that means it's happy with the cat control. Then the other thing is the audio. So if you don't have a radio that has audio and the cat over USB, then you need to install, well, either you could use your headphone jack and your microphone jack on your laptop, or the better way is to use a USB dongle that has the in and out ports. Then they're also generally at the right level. So there you can see I've got one plugged in, and it's just one of these universal ones. You just plug them in. You don't need a drive or anything. And when you drop down the input, it'll only select actually input devices. So you see it doesn't show the output part of the USB microphone. And here, it'll show you only speakers in that. And there's my audio connected. Let's just see. Yeah. Okay. And that's all you need to do to get going. I just want to show you a few other things. These should all be ticked. You want to enable auto replies, auto and heart beating, and heartbeat acknowledgements. We'll start with normal. So we'll go through this. On the side here, on this left window, is all packets coming in on the RF. It doesn't mean to say that it's for your workstation, but it's whatever it can hear and decode it. And the bottom is a nice waterfall, so you can actually see the RF. So I'm going to go to my other station and get it to send me something. I'll just do it on a slightly different frequency. So I'm sending a heartbeat from the other QDX, which is a 5-watt RF device on a dummy load. Got to say, I don't see it coming in. Ah, there we go. It's not quite right. So the heartbeats are a way of announcing yourself, and someone who hears it, if they've enabled their ACK, will respond automatically and send them your signal strength. So here you see my Raspberry Pi sent his call sign, which is 9. And that is the signal strength that I heard it at. Not quite right here. All right, so the other side did hear me. You see there, I sent out the heartbeat, which is this call station, this call sign on this station. And it's just announcing itself and giving the 4-character grid locator. And the other guy who heard it, which is JS8Call, responds specifically to me. And it says it received the heartbeat with an RST of -0.3, which is fairly strong. But I want to just send one from this side and see if it gets it. So you'll see that the receive section in the waterfall freezes slightly now while it's transmitting. Yeah. All right, this is not working right. Right, I can see on the other side that it is happening. So I'll just show you this is a VNC into the Raspberry Pi. And there you see it did receive it. It says it received it at +09. So pretty strong. Well, I suppose it's not strange seeing that they are close to each other with dummy loads. I'll send one back. So there you see it's coming through on the waterfall, and it'll decode it into the left here. So there it's decoded it. Plus 04. All right, so they are talking to each other. So what I do is I leave this running, repeating every 10 minutes, and then you can just leave your PC or your Raspberry Pi running. Well, I used to run it 24/7 when I was in Joburg, and interesting to see all the people that heard you, during the night and so on. But if you want to actually start to talk to somebody, then we can say, okay, there we see JS8Call is around. So one of the things, well, simply, let's just send him a message. So you can click on him to select him, and then you can type message. Hello from George. So you see it sending there. So this is the Raspberry Pi view. Nice strong signal coming in there. So it announces that it did receive a message, and there it's echoing it, sending it back. Yeah, so you know it was received. So just to show you a few interesting features here. I'm going to store a message here. So say he's not around now, but he'll be coming on later on in the evening or something. Well, in fact, let's do it a different way. So now I know we'll add Matthew in. He's not there at the moment, but I know he's coming on later. MDB. So I can say, let's store message now. So that's stored there for when he connects and you can find his messages. So there it is sitting waiting. What I can do is I can store one here where there is someone active, and then I'll show you how he gets told about it. So now this is steered on this side, ZR6WT. So if he's in there's two ways of doing this. I can say query, so I can click on there. And I'll say, do you have any messages for me? So I'll just get the next to see how you see this side. So you see this workstation is replying and saying, yes, in fact, it's message ID 6 that I've got for you. And here's the Raspberry Pi receiving it. So by the way, all of these commands, a little help thing here, so you can, if you don't remember it, you can just select it there. So now I'm going to put in 6 there where it says ID. So I'm saying go to T and ask for message 6. Oh, it looks like there was more than one stored message there. And with messages stored in one's inbox, they always act when they're received successfully. I just want to, okay, let me go through a few more commands. So you'll see down here, we've got CQ. So you can put yourself into CQ mode, where it'll send out a CQ. Shows the usual meaning, of course. So here it's coming in. So if you want to reply to that, there's a canned reply here. And there I'm telling him that I've received him at +11 and how copy. So there's no automatic response here. You then respond and say what you want to say. If somebody says how copy. So you can just click there and say, okay, well, I'll send you your signal strength. And just click on SMR and it'll send it. So while that's happening, I just want to tell you a few other things there. All of these commands that you see, sort of like SNR, or send a signal report, info, grid, etc. They all have variations with a question mark afterwards. So if it's got a question mark, you're actually asking the other station, what is my signal strength? What is the info about your station? What is your current grid locator? And so on. And here's an interesting one, like who are you hearing? Who can you hear that I can't hear possibly? And then I can send a message via you to that person. There's another interesting one, again, question mark. If you receive a message that's kind of garbled because of really low signal conditions, you can say again, question mark to that call sign, and then it will repeat whatever it sent in the last transmission. So there I said specifically send the signal strength to ZR1 triple T. But now I can say, what is my signal strength? I'm typing it with a question mark. And that's an automatic response. You see it's returning and you're saying, I'm hearing you at +4. It was coming through here. But just to refine your config a little bit, let's go back into F2. I want to show you that you can tailor what your CQ message is. So if you're specifically doing QRP, you can sort of emphasize that CQ, QRP, CQ, QRP, and then you can specify that you send your 4-character grid square. Your reply message as well, you can tailor what you want to say when you reply to a CQ, the very first message. And then another useful thing is to configure what your station info is. Like, so I say it's QRP, it's a G90, 5 watts. That's my antenna, which is not true in this case. Of course, I'm using a dummy load. Maybe I should just put in the dummy load to be realistic. My QTH. And then people can ask you what your station status is. And there's some variables here, like how long have you been idle for? What's the version of your JS8Call software? Or you can just every day type in whatever message you like today's great weather, whatever. And so if somebody asks you what your station status is, they will get that. Let's just do that for fun. So I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to make it faster. So on this side, I'm going to say to the same guy, give me information about yourself. So there you see the G90 station heard that info request, and it's responding now with what you saw configured. So although I'm transmitting in fast mode here, the Raspberry Pi is set to normal, and it's still receiving it. You see it's out of step with the packet sizes that it's expecting, but it's still receiving it and decoding it. Another nice feature in JS8Call. So just a bit more about these windows. So the left, as I said, is the RF that you're receiving at a particular offset from the base frequency. These are messages specifically directed to your call sign. This is where you type in your messages, or any commands for that matter. And on the right-hand side are stations that you've heard. Right, another feature is you can save canned messages that you might use a lot. So the one I'm going to demonstrate is sending out my APRS grid. So that is my actual grid sign. So I'm sending this canned message, which I've saved, so I don't have to type the thing every time. And I'm announcing myself at that grid square. So what happens is any other station that hears you, and there can be multiple, they can all respond and pipe that information via internet to the APRS network. I'm going to actually log in there. Okay, so that was testing. There we go. Okay, well, we'll look at that just now and see if it comes through. The other thing you can use APRS for, as I said, SMSs are defined, but they don't work here in SA. I suppose it's because we don't have a server that does that. But emails work. So there I'm sending an email to myself. So I think at this point, Matthew, I will pause for any questions so far.
Excellent, Shurt. Or if anyone's got any questions, I think just go ahead to Shurt.
Evening, Stuart. Evening, Matthew. Stuart, very interesting so far, but I think I've missed something along the way on the waterfall display. I can see the blocks coming down where the message is coming in, but do you have to click on that section of the waterfall to tell it where you want to reply to or anything like that? Or is that something else that it figures out automatically for you? Thanks.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see who's on at the moment. I seem to have missed that button. But anyway, I hear you. Well, yeah, I won't worry about that at the moment. Yes, so what happens is, let me see, this one's probably easier to see, is heartbeats are specifically sent. I don't know if you can see the colors here. This is yellowy orange. And then this part's green up to 2,500. So this is an offset off your center frequency. In my case, I'm on the 40-meter JS8Call band. Heartbeats are defined to always be transmitted below 1,000 hertz, and that's automatic, and it randomly selects that. So if I just randomly, I'll send one now, and you'll see it'll choose some frequency in the middle there. So there it's chosen to be 800. Then the other part, the green part, we'll watch that happen, but while it's happening, I'll talk. The green part is where you choose to transmit all your other commands, messages, like signal strength info. So you see it's jumped back to where I left it. So they separate the heartbeats. So I can say, say you see 3 other people talking, one at 1,200, one at 1,400. You don't want to transmit on the same thing because then it can get garbled. So you choose a place where it's free. So I'm going to choose 1,600. But I don't have to be on the same frequency that someone else was transmitting on when he spoke to you. So let me just get the other one here. Okay, I made that. So let's put this guy right down here. So I'm saying that my ZR1 triple T is going to transmit just over 1,000 hertz above the center frequency, and this one's going to transmit at 1,600. Now, so if I'll just type something simple. So you will see that this station will come through at the chosen frequency on that side. There you see it coming through. Now this one's going to automatically transmit back the signal strength. Yeah, so there's transmitting, and you'll see it transmits at 1,600. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Yeah, there it's coming on the side there, where he's a bit small. Unfortunately, when you move the window, it sort of cleans that out. But you see it came in at, well, there it gives you the exact frequency that it came in, 15, or just on 1,600. So one of the things to do is if you do start to talk to somebody, in order to save bandwidth, you would click on the frequency that he sent his message on so that you both use the same band, because then, of course, it alternates. It's not, full duplex. It's half duplex. So one person talks, the other one talks. So it's a way of saving bandwidth if the band is very busy. But there's another feature here. If I transmit, okay, if I just say, hello, George, or let's say Mary, keep saying George. I didn't want to actually send a call sign, so I'm going to cancel that. I don't want to do that. We did that. So what I'm saying is I'm not actually going to announce it to anybody. I'm just going to say, hello, Mary. And I'm on this band here. So it'll come through to this station, but because there's no call sign or anything, you'll see it's just shown in the RF section, but it won't be allocated to my messages. Just see it come through first. Yeah, so there it is there, Mary, and you say, oh, yeah, I want to talk to him. So now I can actually put my transmit pointer there and say, hello, Stuart. So now I'm actually on his frequency that he transmitted on. And now you'll see it'll actually come up in my window because it's on my band without having to mention any call signs. So there you see it's coming up in my band. And there it is. It says, hello, Stuart. So it's actually said, this is a message for you. It's in your band. And I didn't put any command in like message. I can just type anything I want. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's great. Thank you very much.
By the way, Matthew, how do I get the participants back? I can't see them.
Everyone is muted and camera off, but they're on my right-hand side.
Yeah.
I don't know where they'll be hidden on another window there.
Well, at one point I said just minimize it because it was kind of in the way.
And now it's gone.
Yeah. Anyway, I suppose I don't. I
Do
mean,
you
yeah.
not, Stuart,
Well,
do you particularly have a block in the bottom with participants and a number that you could click on? Number of participants.
Okay, so there I can see it. I don't know if, yeah, I can see it now. All right, I've got that, right.
Super.
So that was Richard, because I couldn't see who was talking to me, was it?
Yes, sorry, Stuart, Richard, ZR6 Delta Echo.
Yeah, I recognized your voice. Thanks for that question. Any other questions?
Stuart, a question from my side with regards to leaving messages. how would I know which station to leave a message with for you, as an example? Maybe there was a couple of stations online and I want to try leave something for you. How would I know where best to leave it?
Oh, you mean so you can't see my call sign at the time, but you know I might be in contact, RF contact with one of the stations you can see.
Yeah, or perhaps I could maybe send a message this morning and you'll be on later, or propagation changes later.
Okay, so wherever you do store it, you must know that eventually Stuart will connect to that station and then retrieve his message. So what I can do is I can say, okay, I know ZS6MDV will be able to hear Richard later on, but I don't see him here in my list of call signs that I've heard so far. So then I'll show you using the, so I'm going to use this command. It's all handy in here. So what I do is I say, I want to send a message to another call sign. You see, it says here, please store this message at your station for later retrieval by, and we'll fill in the details. So I'm going to say that ZR6 Delta Echo for Richard. I'll say, hi, Richard. Please contact me when you see this. So what's actually happening is I'm sending this out on RF to ZS6MDV. And it's not a message for him, but it's saying store it in your inbox for ZR6 Delta Echo for later retrieval. And that's the message. So when he connects or hears ZS6MDV, he will be notified that I have a message waiting for you. And it initially will just send you the ID number. It'll say, I've got message 23 for you. And then I showed you earlier where you would say, query that message ID, and then you'll retrieve it. So it's just, of course, it's going out into thin air. No one will hear this. But that's how you would do that. Does that answer your question, Matthew?
Yes, 100%. Thanks for that, Shirt. I think could be quite a handy feature. I wonder, Justin, I know he's on this evening. He's built many weird and wonderful devices for the club. I wonder if a station with the QDX or similar listening all the time would be quite a handy tool to have as a little mailbox there for us.
Yeah, I think that's a very cool idea to do that. So another feature that I can't really demonstrate it because I don't have enough workstations, but I'll just sort of type it out in principle. So I can say ZR6 Whiskey Tango, which I know I'm in contact with. I mean, it's a nice strong signal. And I can say relay to, let's say, say I know ZR6WT can hear Richard. I can say relay to ZR6DE SN. I want to know his signal strength. So that will relay, and in fact, you can relay like many hops. But what I'll do is I'll crook it. I'll do it a different way. I'll send it to myself. Okay, so of course we won't hear anything, but so the other station is ZR6WT. So what I'm going to do, which is a bit daft, but I'm going to send to ZR6 Whiskey Tango, and I'm going to say send it to ZR1 T, which is, so that means they're going to come back to me. And then I'm going to say, what is my signal strength? So we're sending to ZR6WT, who will relay it to ZR1TTT, the command, what is your signal strength? So there you see these dot means that there was some sort of garbage. So what I can do is I saw it coming from I can say again. Oh, see, that was the original message I was trying to get through. I made a mistake with the syntax. There shouldn't have been that, which means redirect to another station. It should have ended there. Let's see what it does. Hmm. I think that was a bad test. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Any other questions? I'm going to try this while we talk, if there's anything else.
So if you can coax signal reports out of other stations via someone else,
Yeah.
that could be quite interesting during a contest. If you
Yes. In fact,
start coaxing another station to pull signal reports for you.
yeah, in fact, here I can say, who are you hearing? Now, so this would imply that I can't hear this station because I'm sending it to that. But of course, to make this work, when we see something happen, I'm using myself again. So it's circular. But you could put in there ZR6 Delta Echo, and if he was online, ZR6WT would send it to him and say, who are you hearing? And then it would send it back to me. So let's just do this one. It should tell me in a roundabout route.
And then, Stuart, when we're done with that, ZR6JT asks, how do I log a QSO?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I've neglected to do that. Well, in fact, while that's happening, I can do it. So here, of course, I've had a QSO with ZR6WT. Me, when I say me, I'm ZR1TTT. You just click on the call sign and there's a button here, log. Now, a strange thing is it doesn't actually pre-populate the signal strength sent and received. So I find a bit irritating, but according to Jordan, he felt that you got to decide which was the right signal strength that you want to send. So of course, clearly I'm hearing him at +04. So I can say I sent him at 04. And I can't remember now what he heard me at, but let me say he heard me strongly at 11. It has filled in his grid square, and then I can say, oh, that is good testing, good test there, and add to log. So that will go to an ADIF file, and I can show you. Where do I see that? View. Maybe some FT settings, save messages, notifications, reporting maybe. I'm just trying to find the actual place where it stores it. Can't remember now. Maybe it's not shown there. There is a way here to say show it.
Wasn't there in the log, show log directory?
Did you see that? I didn't see it.
Yeah, go over one log at the top there.
Yeah.
There we go, the second option.
That, so thanks. So here is, and you'll see it is correct timing. So I'll just open that in so there are the entries. So of course that is manually putting them into a log file, which you can then upload to like SARL or wherever you want to. But you can configure automatic logging, which I've never tried, but it is in these configurations. Reporting. So people who may be more familiar with that, you see here is a way to do it automatically. We have a log server receiving the stuff. I haven't tried that yet. So while we were talking, you can see in a very roundabout way, eventually this station sent via ZR6WT back to itself that it's hearing those stations. I know this is a silly example, but if they were really disjoint and separated, you can find out things remotely of stations you can't even hear. So that was another neat feature of JS8Call.
Very, very interesting. Sure, it's something to tinker with for sure.
Yeah. Well, any other questions?
Stuart, Richard again, ZR6 Delta Echo. You mentioned connecting to APRS. I'm a little bit hazy on that, but I'm guessing you would then be sending a signal directly to an APRS node, and that would then be transmitting it from there. So or are you relying on another station to transmit that message on for you? Could you just elaborate there a little bit? I think I missed something. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the configurations is to, let me just go in there. But the simple answer is the station you're sending, anyone hearing APRS messages, so you don't direct it to any particular station, you just send it out on RF, and anyone who hears it and is connected to internet can upload it to the APRS network. So that's very useful. I mean, it's sort of like redundancy. So if there are 10 people who hear you, one of them must get it through, type thing. So let's just see where that config is. So there you see here, you say you want to enable spotting. And the other spotting it does is PSK Reporter, which I also found very useful. What I was doing in Joburg is I let my heartbeat run all night on 20 meters specifically. And then you get all the American stations picking you up like from about 11 at night through to early morning, and often quite a few Australian stations too. And of course, all of those connections, well, they're not QSOs, but heartbeat acts and that gets reported via PSK Reporter. So you can then see where you're heard in the world, which is like kind of another whisper form to see how you're getting out, your antenna and conditions. So anyway, there you would enable those two to say that you want to spot APRS messages. So if anybody sends out such a message and I hear it, yeah, I will automatically send it to that network. So this is my Pi running. I'll just quickly send one. So while that's happening, did that answer your question, Richard?
Yes, that's great. Thanks very much.
I have got the website open here. It's refreshing it. Because they don't get registered immediately. Let me just see if it's got this one. Ah, yes. So there you go. These two, the tests we were doing, there they are registered on the usual aprs.fi website. So I don't know if you were on at the time, Richard, when I also sent an email, because APRS also supports emails where it'll output it to the SMTP server and it's forwarded on. So there I sent that. I'm going to quickly see if in fact I got the mail message. Let's look at it all fine first. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see there. There's the email sent from JS8Call. And I don't have to be connected to internet. As long as someone can hear me via HF and is connected to internet, that'll be forwarded on. Any other questions?
Just to reply to that then, Stuart, Delta Echo again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see you send that email, and I've played around with email on APRS as well. It's quite interesting, but it is a great pity we don't have an SMS gateway that we can play with locally. But maybe that's something we could set up for a limited period just to test with. In any case, that's something for the club to look at, perhaps. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I want to just find another slide. Because you can also do spotting, you know, for SOTA and that. And that I also haven't got working, but there is a command using that. So it means if you're on top of a mountain with no internet, but you've got HF, you can send out a spot to say, I'm here, anyone, you know, please call me or listen out for me, etc. And you know, there's that spotters, SOTA and POTA and all that, the website where you sort of announce where you're going to go. Richard, I think you're familiar with that. I thought I had a note on it. Okay. Well, Matthew, I think if there are no further questions, we'll call it a night then.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that, Stuart. Yeah, I'm trying to think myself how this could be applied to SOTA. I do a fair amount of it myself as well. And often there is no cell phone reception, and guys are spotting via Garmin inReaches via satellite, which also takes a little while. I've got a little inReach myself, but it can take about 10-15 minutes sometimes for the message to leave. You then, of course, got to have someone sitting there waiting to read the message and then spot you on the group and on the website. So, yeah, it could be quite interesting to see what could be done for maybe some more automated spotting there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be automated this way. So see, there we go. So there was in fact, yeah. So I know this doesn't work, but that's all you would have to do, and it would be put into the POTA gateway.
You've given us some more homework to do, Stuart.
Yeah.
But thanks for sparking some ideas and showing us some of the capabilities. I certainly have learned a lot myself, and it was nice seeing the two stations working. You know, you're working yourself there and seeing it in action. It's certainly been informative. So thanks very much for your time, and thanks everyone for joining us. Hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, you'll see some more people active.
Yep, that would be great.
Well, excellent. Thanks again, Stuart, for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure. I enjoyed it. Well, good night, everybody.
Thanks very much, Stuart. You put a lot of effort into this. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Cool. Thanks, Stuart.
Bye.